Hey guys, welcome to the Western Training Academy's flight planning tutorial video. We're going to talk about some how to read VFR charts, airspace classes, and a lot of other stuff today in this video. The first thing I'd like you to pull up though is a wonderful website called SkyVector. You can go to this by going to skyvector.com. It has all the VFR and IFR charts that you could ever want, all online for you there. Once you got that open, we're going to go center ourselves at Greenwood Municipal Airport. You can do this by typing in Kilo Hotel Foxtrot Yankee up there and pressing the enter button. And there we go. We're going to be using Greenwood and an airport called Columbus as an example today. We're going to be departing Greenwood and going down here to Columbus. Now on VFR charts, what we're using for navigation is not NDBs or VORs or any of that stuff, not a GPS. We're going to be using outside, looking outside the window with our eyes. So we can do that by using visual landmarks, which are depicted on this chart. So, if we're going south from Greenwood to Columbus, we can use roads and rivers and stuff like that to navigate. On this chart, like I said, it depicts those roads and rivers. We've got these white lines that are roads. Sometimes it'll tell you the road name on it. We've got rivers, these blue things. We've got black railroad tracks. We've got all the airports on it. And any airspaces. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. It also has obstacles that you could be going through, or mountains, or smokestacks, or something. But that's how what we're going to use to navigate. What if we want to look at something that's going to take us down from Greenwood to Columbus? We can look at this road right here. It's labeled 31. It's US 31. It's a state road. And basically, if we wanted to, if we find that road, we can take that all the way down to Columbus, and it's going to take us right to Columbus. We can also use this set of railroad tracks that start around up here. It looks like they kind of start in Franklin. We could follow those railroad tracks. We could follow this road down here also. I believe that is Highway 65. It also shows you any golf courses we've got there. So if we see a golf course and we're following a road, we must know we're in the right area. And also we can use airports as navigational aids also. If we are following 31 and we see an airport off to our right, and it's one little small field, it looks like it's in Franklin, we know, oh, we're on the right area. We're going the right direction. So that's pretty much the visual navigation stuff on these charts in a nutshell. We've also got these little circles around the airports. This is the airspace boundaries. We'll talk about the different types of airspace classes in a minute here. But that lets you know when you're entering the Class Charlie airspace by using your landmarks and stuff like that. Alrighty. Now, like I said before, we're going to talk a little bit about airspace classifications. I'm going to use a website called Atlas Aviation about the U.S. airspace classes here. We're going to just do them in order from what they've got here. Airspace classes are named by letters A, B, C, D, or Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, and Golf. We're going to start with Golf first. That's what they've got here. This is the uncontrolled airspace. That airspace not designated as Class Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, or Echo. We can scroll down here to our little map. We've got Class Golf. It's up to 700 AGL there. And that's non-controlled. You're not going to really have to worry about that. You're usually never going to fly under 700 AGL unless you're I don't know, on approach or something, but that's a non-controlled airspace, and you don't have to worry about it. Next, we're going to talk about Class Alpha airspace. This airspace generally extends from 18,000 feet up to flight level 600 or 60,000 feet. All people must be operating IFR inside of it, and is controlled by the center controller. If we look down here on our little chart, there it is, Class Alpha. Now, Class Alpha exists up to 60,000 feet, like I said before, so if you're flying 18,000 feet to 60,000 feet, you're going to be talking to the center controller, and you're going to need an IFR flight plan. So when you're VFR, don't ever go above 18,000 feet. Class Bravo airspace. This is generally the airspace from the surface of the airport up to 10,000 feet MSL, surrounding the nation's busiest airports in terms of IFR operations. So, if we look down here, we've got the Class Bravo airspace. It's extending up to 10,000 feet. It looks like an upside-down wedding cake. That's kind of how I remember it. This is controlled by the approach controller and departure controller. It's around the nation's busiest airports. So, some examples of this would be New York's JFK Kennedy Airport, maybe Cincinnati Airport, Miami, Los Angeles, Phoenix, stuff like that. That's the Class Bravo airspace. Now, if you're a VFR aircraft wanting to enter the Class Bravo airspace, you got to have a couple of things. You got to get clearance to enter the Class Bravo airspace, so you got to be talking to the controller prior to your entry. You got to have a working transponder to be able to put on your squawk code that he's giving you. And you got to remain clear of clouds and listen to all of his instructions that he gives you. And that's Class Bravo airspace. Now, Class Charlie airspace here, it's basically a mini Class Bravo airspace. Same things, except, we'll go up here, it extends from that surface of the airport to 4,000 feet above the airport elevation. So it's the same thing, except a little mini size, I guess you could call it, for the busy airports, but not that busy of an airport, such as Indianapolis, Columbus, Dayton, airports like that. That's your Class Charlie airspace. Got to do the same things for the Class Charlie airspace as you do in the Class Bravo airspace. Next, we've got the Class Delta airspace here. We're going to go up here and I'll read their definition. Generally, that airspace from the surface of the airport up to 2,500 feet above the airport elevation. Charted in MSQ surrounding those airports that have an operational control tower. So, a Class Delta airspace extends up to 2,500 feet, and it is controlled by the control tower. It is with airports that have control towers. Now, remember our Columbus airport that we're flying to here. It is a Class Delta airspace because it has a control tower. So to enter a Class Delta airspace, we got to get clearance from ATC. We must establish two-way radio communication with them prior to entry. We do not need a working transponder because a tower controller is not a radar controller. They don't have a scope. They basically look outside. It's not pretty simple. That's Class Delta airspace. We can look at our picture here. After Class Delta airspace, we've got Class Echo airspace. Generally, if the airspace is not Class Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, or Delta, and it is controlled airspace, it is a Class Echo airspace. Class Echo airspace extends upward from either the surface or a designated altitude to an overlying adjunct controlled airspace. So, that's basically in between the Class Bravo and Charlie airspaces. It's controlled sometimes by the center controller if there's no area. It's also surrounding the non-towered airports. So Greenwood Municipal would be a Class Echo airport or Class Echo airspace. Now that we've got the airspace classes down, we're going to go back over to SkyVector and talk about how to get the airport information. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go up here. We want to get the airport information for Columbus, Kilo, Bravo, Alpha, Kilo. So we're going to click that and press the Go button. That's going to bring us up to here, Columbus Municipal Airport. It's giving us all of our operation data. You don't need to know this stuff, most of it, except it's got a control tower, so we do know it's a Class Delta airspace, most likely. It's under the ARTCC of Indianapolis Center, and its flight service station is Terre Haute. And it is under the sectional charts of the St. Louis. So you'd have to get the sectional St. Louis charts up to look at all the VFR stuff. Next, we've got the airport communications telling you the frequencies. Columbus Tower 118.6, Grounds 121.6, and approach services is provided by Indianapolis. And it's got clearance delivery, Unicom, and a CTAF. Then it's going to tell you your nearby navigational aids. We don't need to know that for VFR, that's more IFR stuff. Then it's going to tell us our runway dimensions and all that good stuff about the runways. Then we've got services available, fuel. You don't really need to know that in the simulation, but in the real world, if you were flying there, you kind of want to know what fuel you're going to be getting. And it's just some ownership information, phone numbers if you wanted to call them. Operational statistics and other remarks. It's also got the instrument approaches. You don't need to worry about those until you get to your IFR training. It's also, we can look at our airport diagram over here. Just click on that and it's going to bring it up here. Basically, this is the diagram of the airport. It's got the runways and taxiways. It's all the runways and all the taxiways. This airport does have a ground controller. We can look at these again. It's got an automated weather service station, 119.75. That's about it for this. So thanks for watching. We hope you learned something from this tutorial, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.